Hi, it's Michelle with GottaLottaDance, and we're here at the Reno Dance Sensation, of course in Reno, right in the middle of the ballroom, and all the excitement. We can hear the dance lessons going on behind us, and it's just been a really great event so far. I'm talking with Byam. He is the director of the Palm Springs Swing Dance Classic, as well as the Swing Dance Class. I'm sorry, the Swing Dance Camp.
Yes, it's
and
a dance
that's
camp.
in August and New Year's Eve.
Yep, we have it twice a year.
Great. And Victoria, who is an instructor at your events.
Yeah, Victoria Tolonen. She just happens to be the director of Bend Dance. She teaches up in Bend, Oregon.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to have both of you here talking with us at GottaLottaDance. So how did you get started producing events, Jay? How did you get there?
I actually started teaching kind of like by mistake. I took the college class for dancing in college like everybody else did. And the teacher asked me to help teach the class, and I wasn't really ready to teach a class, but I helped. And then I ended up really liking it and taught more and more and more. And so the classes just got bigger and bigger, and then we had weekend workshops, and then we went from there.
Right. And that was primarily West Coast swing?
No, all kinds of dancing. I started out teaching a little bit of ballroom, and really enjoyed country western dancing, and I was into Lindy dancing and East Coast swing. And then I saw West Coast, and I said, what is this? West Coast, that's not swing dancing, because I came from the East Coast swing world.
I see.
You know, in the West Coast, there's no rock step, and you guys aren't dancing to the beat, and you're not dancing to classic swing music, you're dancing to all this modern rock and roll music. What's that?
Yeah.
So it took me a while. It took me almost a year and a half to warm up.
Was it the music that did that for you, or
probably the girls? No, I liked the music. I really liked the music, and it was really great that there were girls there.
And then how did you two get together as far as partners?
Well, I originally came to one of the Palm Springs dance events as a salsa dancer. We did combined events, some salsa and some West Coast swing. And so I came for salsa, and I thought that the swing event across the hall was going to be like poodle skirts and bobby socks. And I walked into the swing ballroom, and I went, that is the sexiest thing I have ever seen. So after 10 years of salsa...
More sexy than salsa?
It's a connection thing, right? There's salsa is sexy from the outside. Swing is sexy. The connection within the partnership is what's so sexy with West Coast swing. And so I love the fact that they're very different dances and have very different communications back and forth.
So I understand that once you saw West Coast swing and you're already a salsa instructor, you saw it and you said, I've got to learn this dance. How long did it take you to learn it well enough to teach it?
A couple of years. I'd say a couple of years, and I'd been teaching salsa for many years and dancing salsa since college also.
Sure, so it's not that big of a crossover. Once you've learned how to teach, you just...
The teaching part is easier than changing the connection and the communication of the dances.
Now, you were just teaching a class earlier. It was a very full class. So what was your experience there? What was it, a beginning class, or was it more of an intermediate class?
I would say it was half and half. We had a lot of intermediate dancers that had some bad habits, and we had a lot of beginners who had no habits, so it was really good. I asked Victoria almost all the time when Victoria and I are at conventions together, I ask her to teach with me because she's so dynamic, and our moves get better when we work together.
Sure.
So our jokes get better when we work together. Or at least your jokes are better.
Or more tolerable, anyway.
At least.
They go over better with Victoria. When I'm teaching, Victoria will do something really cool, lady styling wise, and I'll stop the class and I'll teach what she just did.
I see.
And because it was pertinent to what we were just doing. Like in the middle of a move, she'll add an accent, and like, oh, okay, wait a minute, that accent belongs to this move. And we can show our students what spontaneity looks like in the dance. Traditionally, teachers teach a lot of choreography, and we do a little bit, but because Victoria's so spontaneous, I can teach what she just did.
Okay, so you come in with a plan, but then you kind of are loose enough to say, well, whatever comes up, or maybe a student might ask a question that would make you want to demonstrate something else.
And then we're off in the woods.
And we like to do technique too. So this class that we just finished was a technique class where it's cleaning up a lot of their basics and how to move a woman and how to be led.
Right. Awesome.
We started out with a plan, and then the class went way off the plan. But the students didn't know that. I mean, we were working on what the students needed today.
Right, and you don't know that. You don't know what they need.
You're right.
Until you get there.
Right.
And you got to kind of be malleable.
Exactly.
Victoria and I have both seen workshops and classes where the teacher is stuck on their material, and it has nothing to do with the students are doing on the floor, or the students aren't getting it, and you have to be able to change your class on a moment's notice for the students that are there. And so this class was, we had 4 ideas, and it was really spontaneous, and we didn't even get to our last idea.
Sure.
We spent the entire time talking about other things, and it worked out really well.
So speaking of changes, obviously the dance has changed over the last 20 some odd years.
That's what we talked about in the class.
Thank goodness.
So how do you keep up?
You gotta dance.
You got it. Yes.
Got a lot of dance.
And you have to observe, because like there's this old story. This man says, "Oh, I have 20 years experience at my job." No, you've got 1 year experience 20 times, because he never does anything different.
I see.
So I spend a lot of time sitting and watching the younger dancers, and Victoria, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the younger dancers.
Well, yeah.
We were talking
in comparison.
Thanks. Don't point at me when you say that. But we talked about in the class, we have what is called the young Westies, and or the next generation of Westies, because it constantly changes. And so we compared that in our class today. We talked about how we used to do an underarm turn compared to how we do it today.
Yeah.
And if you do a classic style underarm turn from yesteryear, it's not going to fit so well with the style of music, and it's not going to fit so well with the style of dancers. So we were showing some of the classically trained dancers, a little older, this is how we do it today, and we were showing them why. Why do we change? You don't just change for change.
Sure. Well, why do you change? Why do you change?
Well, the dance matures just like a person matures, right? And so you go, okay, what's going to work a little bit better? And how can we communicate and get a little bit more relation in between the lead and the follow and what the music is doing? And not just the idea that's going on in the lead's head, but also how the woman can now interact, and then how he can play off of what she's doing as well, and how both people are listening to the music. And so that's created sort of a different feel of the dance than how it was before, where it started originally as a little bit more pattern-based and a little bit more structured, and now there's a lot more play, which requires a lot more of an intense level of technique. So the connection gets a little bit more fine-tuned, a lot more fine-tuned.
You have to have better connection for today's West Coast, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I know that 10, 15 years ago, maybe in the early 90s, the beats per minute was radically faster.
Yes.
And now it's much slower.
Yes.
And I think, my gosh, how did they dance that fast? You doing... so it has evolved.
It was the funniest thing. We had our convention in Palm Springs, and we had a traditional DJ, and he played fast music for the champions, and only one of the champions could dance that fast because he was one of the older champions, and all the younger guys were like, what is this? And you could see the struggling going on because they don't dance that fast on a regular basis.
Yeah. So change and evolution is good.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you don't want to be stagnant.
I can give you a great story. 10 years, 15 years ago, we had the big debate about whether ladies were allowed to steal patterns or not. And some people say no, and some people say yes, and only on certain occasions. And now I teach my students all the time, and this is a rule, hard rule. A lady can steal the pattern whenever she wants to. On beat 1, on beat 2, on beat 4. And I teach the ladies how to take control of the pattern, whereas that wasn't acceptable 15 years ago. I mean, it was acceptable with some people, but not with everybody. Were you there when that debate was going on, or were you not born yet?
I wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. By the time she came in, well, Victoria is one of the most playful dancers on the floor. She steals the pattern and plays with her boy, and if a man is smart, he lets her run with it.
Sure.
Because he's going to look good.
Exactly.
But he still gets to lead, which is always the idea of the dance. Let the man lead.
Oh, yeah, but the girl, when the lady brings a steal to the dance, it's not even a steal anymore. We used to call him a steal because she's stealing the lead. Now we're sharing the lead.
You get to add a little input.
Sure.
Yeah, I want the ladies to add a lot. If she took 25% of the patterns, as long as I could follow them, I'd be totally happy.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, I know you got to get going because we've got to wrap this up. The next dance lesson is coming up soon. So we really appreciate you being here. at GottaLottaDance.
Thank you.
Thank you both, and good luck in your upcoming events. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Great. Sounds good.
It's Michelle with GottaLottaDance. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you real soon.